It looks like we're in the Orient, but actually we're at the home of Jack Hogan in Jacksonville, Florida. He's one of the people that have been supporting the Dillman Karate Institute for many years and the pressure point theory that I'm teaching all over the world. We have a set of videotapes that I still recommend, tapes 1 through 4, because they're the alphabet of learning the pressure points. A lot of people want to jump ahead to this tape or other tapes that we have out, and there's just no way around it. It's like trying to learn the alphabet by only learning a few letters. You have to start at tape 1 and come right forward to learn this properly. This weekend we're going to cover the secrets at a seminar hidden within many of the kata. Within the kata and form are the answer to the angle and direction to attack pressure points in the human body. A lot of these secrets were kept away from Americans, and I say mainly because of World War II. We found a lot of books before the war that state something different than some of the same books after the war. The kata contain the angle and direction to attack pressure points, and the movement sideways in kata, you do not have opponents sideways. You have an opponent in front of you, and that means to do that move, you go sideways to attack him. We're going to pick up on this and show you some of the most favorite moves from different kata within the Oriental system. Okay, we're here in Jacksonville, Florida. We have a rather large seminar. We're going to work on pressure points, and I want to tell you what makes a pressure point a pressure point. That's the thing that you have to know and remember. I can never repeat that enough. A pressure point is a place where two nerves cross. There's a pressure point there. A pressure point is a place where a nerve goes to a Y, the letter Y. A pressure point is a place where the nerve comes to an ending and you got to attack it in the direction that the nerve comes up to the ending. This is what makes a pressure point, and everyone has them. Now what separates that is, you have various receptors in your body. This is the part of the art that gets deep. You have hot receptors and cold receptors. You're familiar with those because it's hot here right now, and it turns the sweating on and makes you perspire to cool you down. You have receptors that if it were cold out would turn your motor on to heat you up. But beyond that, you have various receptors that control your joints and or your standing and or your motion. We have receptors that are push receptors, touch receptors, rub receptors. They only respond to that action. When I talk about the various receptors, I also mention to you, don't ask a black belt, ask your doctor. Ask your doctor to look up in his physiology book of the various receptors of the body, of which there are at least 6 that we use, and they only respond to that action. They only respond to hitting, to pushing, to touching, or to rubbing. And that's what you have to know to work a pressure point. And as I show you pressure points today, I will mention that this is a hit pressure point, a push pressure point, or you have to rub it. You've heard of the vibrating palm of Kung Fu. That's where it came from. Not vibrating breaking boards and cement. A vibrating palm method is on a pressure point that only activates by rubbing, so that the vibration of the palm gives that rubbing effect or energy delivery into that pressure point for you. Now we're going to break down moves from a lot of your different kata today. I'm going to try to break down some from the Taekwondo people, the Japanese people present, the American karate present, the Okinawan style is here, and try to put them and make sense out of moves that before were called blocking. The way I look at kata, there are no blocks. There's no block in any one of your kata. If I ask you how many kata you do, or etc., or tell you to name a kata, and you name it, I say how many blocks are in that kata. And if you start counting, then I know you don't know what I know right off the bat. There are no blocks in forms. Blocks, it doesn't do you any good to block in forms. To stand here and me to do blocks doesn't do any good. Blocks are only good if you're freestyle sparring or doing your one-step sparring, because that creates your coordination, your timing. So you do blocks, but you don't do them in katas. The misunderstanding of kata was everywhere that maybe the kata, the person teaching it, didn't want you to know these moves, the word block became the cop-out. What's this for? Double blocking. What's this for? Blocking. Up block, down block, inside block, outside block. It just became a cop-out where every one of those moves, we can teach you a way to attack a pressure point with the proper angle and direction. First move that we want to break down today is a very popular form, a kata called Empi. Various ways to pronounce Empi, Empi. The word means elbow, the elbow. For years I did that kata. And I thought it was named after this technique. There's one elbow technique in that kata. If he was to do the whole kata. Your name is?
Y.A. Smith.
Y.A. Smith from Jacksonville, Florida. And your style? Shotokan. What did you think that kata meant? The elbow? Elbow technique. That's what I thought. I thought it was named after the one technique. Elbow technique. As I get into my pressure point theory, I got to know and understand that this section of the body in acupuncture or acupressure is called the Empi region. The entire kata is directed at attacks into this region. The various grabs that are in there are up into these pressure points in this region for that kick or that punch. You're attacking and manipulating this entire region in that one kata. This is the Empi region. The kata opens up with the hand coming over to the hip and dropping down and coming back up to the opposite hip. Now just do that particular move for us. Okay, stop. I was told, here you come up, let me use you. What is your name?
Damon Davidson.
Damon Davidson. What style? Okay. I was told that that kata was dropping down, that this meant nothing. We discussed this last night, so it's not that, but he was told that this really didn't mean anything. This was just a catch. It didn't mean anything. And I was told, I don't know what he was told, but last night he mentioned the word block, that this is a block. And you know I said there's no blocks in kata. But I was told as I learned that kata that this means nothing. I'm prepared to do a block. Well, how many people fight somebody this size and start putting your hands on your hips? You understand what I'm saying? All the moves with your hands and your hips have a meaning. All the moves, you go like this, like this, like this, they all have a meaning. I was told that this meant nothing, and that he's going to kick at me with the right leg, and I'm dropping down doing this, blocking it, and then I'm going to come right back up. Well, that's not a practical street fighting move, is it? Is there anybody here that I'd want to send out in the street? We have a street fighter out there waiting for you. And when he throws his best kick, you're to drop down on your knee, block, and then spring back up. And my instructor told me, and I used to practice going down and getting up as quick as I can, because he told me, once you're down to block the kick, you've got to come back up like a springboard as if you were never down so he can't attack your head. And I kept trying to get up faster and faster with that kata and come back up faster and faster. As I got into my pressure point theory, behind the elbow, let me use you. You have a short sleeve shirt. There's a pressure, you can stay here, I'm going to use you for the breakdown. Right here is a pressure point, a Golgi's tendon reflex nerve. A little tiny nerve that only picks up rubbing. It only picks up rubbing. This nerve only picks up rubbing. It actually sends the message to and from the brain that the elbow is already broken. I am actually tricking the body into thinking that the elbow is broken and that I could break the elbow. That's a rub point. There is a pressure point right on the back of the arm. Now stay just like that. Right where the muscles cross. right on the back of the arm, a pressure point that we use a lot that is for hitting, not rubbing. Lock your arm so I can't break it. I rub this point. Hope that's dry. I rub this point. Look. I just get my fingers dirty. This pressure point only picks up this. It only picks up attaching. It does not pick up rubbing. And what you don't understand is that hurts him, doesn't it? That one really hurt him. That's a hurt point. And I want to give you a precautionary. Because that point comes off the two muscles, if a person is a weightlifter with a large arm here, that point can cause a heart attack. I don't care if you believe that or not. I'm just telling you what goes behind it. That point hit very hard on a weightlifter can affect the heart and or right up to cause a heart attack. This is the place that you punch in pin on 5. If you do pin on 5, that's where the punch is. I would be catching this arm and I would be punching that point. Everybody understand that? This only responds to hitting. Do you know police, when I teach police seminars, don't know that? They can't handcuff a man. They don't police usually grab in this manner and try to get his arm behind his back? They're holding what should be tapped. It doesn't have to be hit hard. They're trying to get his arm behind his back. Now don't let me. I can't get his arm behind the back and then more police run in. All they have to know to handcuff is that this point needs rubbed and the arm will go right behind the back and the other one will join it for handcuffing. They're rubbing where it needs hit. To handcuff him if he refuses, I just give a tap. I teach policemen that. It's not police brutality. It releases the shoulder. I tap. It comes behind the back, and we handcuff once again. It's just that you have to know that that pressure point needs hit, and that that one needs rubbed. Okay, sit down. Now you come here. You stand here. You stay right where you are. You're going to do the move and I'm going to break it down. So do the first move and catch on your hip. That move in the kata means that that man has grabbed me. Let's just have him grab my arm here now. Just grab that arm. And I am going to get to this hip with this arm like this. That's what that represents. Doesn't it look the same? You see? Looks the same. I am on his wrist pressure point though. Now do the next move in the kata. He drops down for a block. I am to take him and catch on the hip, and I am to drop down on the hit point I just marked on that man's arm. I am to be holding his wrist points, and if I were on this individual's rub point, I could do that move as a rub to go down. But in this particular kata, I am doing this. Now do the next move in your kata. Back to the right hip with a catch. I am to come back. He is going down, and I am to come back. This is where you have to be careful when you pair off to work on this. Because I am to keep this arm. I am to keep this and come to this hip with a ripping motion. I have a doctor in my school that will certify that that will dislocate the shoulder, the elbow, and break the wrist all simultaneously. Because that move is to be done like this. And I am to be coming back up while he is truly on his way down, so that I let his body weight do the dislocating. So he grabs me, catch, hit, And if I truly take it from here, have the camera right on this section. Watch this. And I'm to be up on my hip with this wrist going this way and his body weight, which I don't want to injure him, but it's going to dislocate that shoulder. You're going to pair off with a partner. You can experiment, stand up, you can experiment with this point first just to find it, the rub point. Then experiment with the hit point lightly. Then have him grab an arm, and he could have grabbed with that hand, it doesn't matter. Then you just go behind that arm. But what you do is you trap the arm to your body. You're always pinning. And then you would hit the hit point, it'll drop him, and you would go through the rest of the move. Now you see how a move can be dangerous in a kata? Can truly damage somebody? The move is only as good as you think it is. If I think of this as a block, I'll never use it in the street. It gets recorded in my subconscious as a block. But if I think of that move as an arm dislocator and breaker and rip it right out of the socket, and somebody touches me in the street, I grab that arm and dive on it. And he's going down with a dislocated shoulder. You're going to pair off, everybody on your feet. You're going to pair off with a partner and work on that technique. Good. You can take a punch in the stomach, you say? Okay, tighten down a little bit. This is only to prove a point. What is your name?
Ray Pete.
Ray what?
Ray Pete.
Okay, Ray Pete?
Yes.
Not repeat, Ray Pete. Repeat just left.
How you doing? Good. Nice to meet you.
Tighten your stomach a little bit. I don't want to blow anybody's thing, so to say, but there's one guy who was going around doing seminars telling people that when he hits you, that he's going to hit you and drive the power internally. And the first time, you stay there, you come up. This is what it'll feel like. Tighten your stomach a little bit. Can you take a shot? What is your name?
Fred Velasquez.
Fred Velasquez. You're from where?
Orange Park.
Okay, I never met you guys before this, did I?
No.
Great, great. They tell him that I'm going to hit you. Tap you, so tighten your stomach a little bit. I'm going to hit him just this deep, so he only feels it on the surface. Tighten up a little bit. You felt it on the surface. Now I'm going to drive my energy that I go in this deep, so he feels it go in a little bit further. Wait, you're getting a neck, so. Go back. Now I'm going to send it that deep. I wish I knew this years ago. I used to work with a heavyweight boxer, and the heavyweight boxer used to take punches. Muhammad Ali. I used to train with him for several years, road work. I wish I knew this at the time, because Muhammad Ali's claim to fame was to let the guy hit him as hard as he could, and then destroy the man verbally by saying, is that all you can hit with? And it would destroy the guy. Most of you, if you got in a fight, let's say I hit this guy in the stomach, and he took that shot. You get in a fight with the guy you're paired off with, let's say, and you hit him anywhere. Now, I'm not going to hit you, but let's say you hit him in the jaw, or you hit him anywhere, and he took that shot. The chances of you hitting him with that shot again in that fight are nil. You'd be looking for somewhere else, right or wrong, because he took that shot. If I slammed this guy full blast in the jaw, and he took it, in my mind, I'd be looking elsewhere. Because I'd say, he can take that one. That's not the way it goes. All the early katas have 3 moves in them. 1, 2, 3. All the Pinan katas, all the early katas. 3 will keep coming up. I will keep telling you about 3 as I do seminars. Because I have more meanings for those 3s. 3 was in a kata for a purpose. Some of the katas, like Nahanchi or Teki, there were only 3 of them. 3 pressure points knock a person out. When I do a knockout, it's 3 pressure points. One pressure point causes pain, two causes pain to meet in the middle. So if I really did a pressure point here and here, he's going to feel it in the stomach. And if I really do here, here, and catch him, I'm not going to try to knock him out now, he's going to pass out. 3 knockout. That's why there's 3 moves in the kata. And the third move in those used katas have a lunge and a punch, don't they? They usually go 1, 2, pull. The secret hidden or contained there in that kata is the third time on the same pressure point causes pain severe and the person cannot take it. You have a protective juice that fires off your nerve when a nerve is hit or attacked. My art attacks nerves. You have a protective juice that protects the nerve. I wasn't driving my punch deeper and deeper. I was hitting with the same punch. The first time you are hit, you can take it because your nerve releases the juice to protect it. It has 100% protection on the first shot. The second shot only has 80% protection. Ask your doctor. This is in physiology books. So the first time I unloaded, he took it. The second time, he only had 80% protection. Had I hit him the third time, he would have gone down, dropped. You can only feel that when it's done to you. So you're watching them and you're going, I don't know. You're going to get up and hit each other in the stomach and feel it lightly, just lightly. But when you hit 1, 2, that's why in the early katas it was 1, 2, and a lunge. That means if I hit him in a fight and he took that shot on a pressure point, I am to go back to the same pressure point and the same pressure point. I am not to hit elsewhere. Got it? A boxer only does it if he sees a cut. He goes to the cut to make it bigger. But my advice to boxers is when they get a clean shot on a good weak area, then go back to that area, don't change up. I don't care if he took it. When you get a clean shot into that area, then you return to that area. Had I lunged into him with that third punch, he would have gone down and out. So when you tighten your stomach, you can take the first shot. Tighten up a little bit. He can take the shot. Second time, only 80% protection. Now he's backing up a little bit. You don't really want the third one, do you? You see, they don't want the third one. Because the third one, he can tighten all he wants. I can almost just tap and back him up. If I unload, he's going to be spitting up his lunch. But that's why the kata goes 1, 2, 3, and a little step. The step's more important. It's telling you that if you got a shot at his solar plex, and you got another shot at his solar plex, and he took them, what are you supposed to do in the third one? Go for it. And unload because he's going down. So sometimes when you work pressure points on somebody, if I hit that pressure point in the arm and it looks like he takes it, he feels it, and then he takes it. But then the third one, look, it's a paralyzed arm. Sorry. You see? So when you're working pressure points, keep that in mind. That if you do something on the pressure point and it looks like the man took it, don't go elsewhere. Go back on it. Go back on it. If I hit somebody behind that arm and he looked like he took it for any reason, and the second time you lunge, he only has 80% protection. Now you're going to pair off and experiment with that, but I don't want anyone hitting anyone in the stomach excessively hard. I only want you to tap. Here, you stand up quick. What's your name? Rachel. You come all the way down from Atlanta, Georgia for this, didn't you? Very good. Tighten your stomach a little bit. I only want you doing it like this. I'm not going to unload because he's been to my other seminars. These people have not. But I only want you to experiment like this. Tighten your stomach. I only want you to go. But he felt it, that it was worse. And he felt it would have been a lot worse. So I only want you tapping each other. And you can tighten all you want. And you'll feel. That is body. That is your body anatomy, so you can't change it. A nerve release is a protection. After it's released, you only have 80%. Some of the medical books I read compare it to a snake venom. Once it's released, there's only 80% coming out the next time. Everybody pair off and work on that. Man asked a question. This is what you got to ask good questions. How long, when you activate a pressure point, first of all, we do sneaky things with what I do. When you watch my videotapes, don't always watch the hitting hand, watch the sneaking hand. Understand? I do magic with the other hand. I sneak it around the place. Because we do what you call activate a pressure point. I just had a top 10 professional boxer come to one of my seminars in Chicago, and while I was talking to him, I set him up for the third punch. I said, well, geez, you know, that's the way we do. We hit in this area. That's actually activating that nerve. So that when I unload with the next punch, you're going to get maximum effect. You all right? You actually start to get the juice out. You understand? I'm just showing you some sneaky things. But you talk to him and you say, well, damn, the minute you bump it, the nerve fires. You got a decent bump, but you make like you're talking. You say, I don't want to fight with you. We've been buddies too long. Oh! Yeah, it's going to put him down. You have 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Whose arm did I numb up here? Come on back up here. And I don't think it's been 20 minutes, has it? It hasn't been 20 minutes. Look at his leg. For the next, now we got another 20. You see, he can't mess with me for 20 minutes. I just got to know where to go. Let me redo it. I just got to know where to hit. You have 20 minutes for activation. Once I hit him, 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I can wait. I can get out of his way. You mean can't stay away from a guy a little bit? You just got to keep in your mind where you've hit, and what you've weakened. And then close with what is weak, not elsewhere. I know even as his arm's going to feel good in about 4 or 5 minutes, I know that I still got it. A nerve carries a message. You can ask your doctor that question. It's constantly carrying a message when it's been irritated. Carries the message for up to 20 minutes. Up to 20 minutes. We've experimented with it right up to the 20-minute mark, so we know in our advanced seminars, we've tested it for a full 20 minutes. We get a real good result. After 20 minutes, it loses and reheals if you haven't touched them. We've hit people, set them down, called them back up and hit them. Once I've hit in here, he's weak here. If I step in and chop this guy in the neck, he might or might not feel it. But once I've hit here, for 20 minutes, right here, it's going to take him out. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, you sit down. Hope you came for that. That was just 2 points. 2.5, really. There's nothing a half of one. I bet you never watched that figure, did you? You'll be watching that video. But 3 points put them all the way out. 2.5 is what I play with. If we get a guy dizzy, and he goes like this, you can see the fight's over, we close for the kill. 20 minutes, I can get him up for the next 20 minutes and knock him out anytime I want. Because I know what's set up, we close. This is what kata is about. This is what is changing karate. This is what's going to give karate credibility. Black belts have been beat up. People say, well, kata aren't needed. They're the people that make all those stupid moves. I do too many seminars where people quit and say they quit karate because of the stupid moves in kata. You can stand. We had one seminar over in Texas where a man invited all of his former students to quit. and 35 of them showed up. 25 signed up that night back into his school. And they all said that they quit because they had to do these stupid moves in front of the class with no meaning. All I am trying to do in this country is give karate credibility and meaning to the kata. Every move that you do in a kata has that meaning. Every pressure point can take only the third shot and it's going down. A pressure point is this big, the size of a 25-cent piece for activation. It's actually smaller than that. When you get right down to it, it's the size of the button of a ballpoint pen on a large person, the size of the writing part on a small person. But area of activation means I have a 25-cent piece to strike. That's the meaning of focus and control. I teach 361 pressure points. 275, they're really dangerous. 275 are more dangerous. I use 361, but you'll also hear that number 275. 275 are the ones that really get serious and dangerous. And you have a 25-cent piece. You mean if I put 25-cent pieces all over this guy's arm, body, face, you mean I can't hit them in a fight? People will say sometimes these moves can't be used in a real fight. That's wrong. In a real fight, it's going to hurt you bad. All I got to do is know where I'm striking and hitting. That's where focus comes in. Every pressure point serves three purposes. You come up here. Pressure point right outside the wrist. Now, when I show those 6 pressure points, where'd that pen get? Oh, here it is. When I show the pressure points outside the wrist, that pressure point is actually rolled 3/4 down under the bone. It's not really right on the bone. It's got to roll underneath the bone, which means you have to move skin and get around to it. That particular pressure point is a heart pressure point. A heart. These pressure points are lung pressure points. Lung, your lungs. But when I hit this pressure point or manipulate with this pressure point, I'm not really affecting his heart as of yet. This is also this pressure point for his small intestine. Heart, small intestine. But a pressure point, every pressure point serves 3 purposes. The first purpose of a pressure point is area control. Area, not the heart, area. This controls his wrist, regardless of how strong he is. Come around this side. Regardless of how strong he is, if he has a tight wrist, get a tight wrist. Don't let me bend your wrist. Okay, bend that fist here. Make a fist. And I try to bend his wrist. I can't bend it. So how are you going to bend it? That pressure point, you see that dot, when it's touched with this bone, releases his wrist. I just touch it. It releases the wrist. Get it tight. Lock it in place. I just touch it, and it releases the wrist. It'll release that wrist to break it. If you don't know that, you'll never get someone off you. But when I manipulate with that pressure point, that's not his heart. That's not his heart. Not yet. But if I am manipulating 3 heart pressure points in a heart meridian, then I can affect his heart. When I was hitting people in the stomach, I'm not affecting, I was using the solar plex region, but I'm not really affecting the entire meridian yet. Had I activated it and then hit, yes, I would. And 3 pressure points like that can knock a person out. We really don't do that one on film because people vomit. But yes, I've knocked people out right on that stomach one. If I'd have hit him the 3rd time, when I hit you, you'd have gone out. You'd have passed out, but you would have probably threw up because the pressure point I use there controls the stomach valve. You have a valve in your stomach that keeps the food in. And when you mess with the solar plex this way, you're only messing with the solar plex. But when I hit a pressure point in the solar plex, I hit it that way. Down and in. Down and in. Then that releases the stomach. That'll release it. You feel it all the way down to the stomach. That nerve comes up from the stomach like that. I follow the nerve down. If I hit him down like that, his food's coming back up. And what you saw me when I hit somebody, I take the protection away, and then if I hook him down in, he's going to pass out, but the food's going to come up. He's going to throw up. So yes, 3 times on the same pressure point can knock someone out. Or if it doesn't knock them out, it puts them out of the fight. I don't think there's any doubt in your mind when you were hit 3 times if somebody unloaded the 3rd one in your stomach. Did you all hit each other in the stomach? Did you have any doubt in your mind that if somebody blasted the 3rd one, you were going? Usually when I go out and people do demonstrations and they get up and they go and they tighten down and their instructors are running around beating on them. The only reason they get away with that is the instructor ain't hitting them on the same spot all the time. He's pounding all over their body. Or by accident, he could hurt them. By accident, if he's tight and I keep hitting him on the same spot, I'm going to hurt him because the nerve doesn't have protection. Okay, you can sit down. Thank you. People liking this so far? We're going to let Mr. Ed Lake demonstrate a move. He's from the West Palm Beach area, but he's going to demonstrate a move. He used to be a Taekwondo status, and he got involved in my pressure points, and then later became what we call a Dillman Karate Institute. He joined our school system. Our school system, the only thing that we get involved in is really getting deeper into katas and finding out the true meaning behind the moves. A lot of times you can never understand what the true meaning was, because the creator of the kata died. When you know that angle and direction and pressure points are involved, you can then assume. But some of the katas were created, let's say a Kusanku kata was created by a man, Kusanku. He died. Only he knows why he did some moves. But one of the moves that is misunderstood is this move in kata. You'll see this so many times, like this. Some do it to here, some do it to here, some do it to the hip even. And Americans were told, or at least I was told, that this is a groin grab, which you know is not going to work in a fight to grab the groin and even punch it with the other hand, because he's going to be getting all those punches into your head. A basic interpretation that I teach in my school is for every muscle action that a man has one direction, he only has an action the other direction. For instance, it's humanly impossible for this man to resist 2 ways at the same time. 2 ways at the same time. That's what that should be telling you. Anyone can resist. If I tell him I'm going to push his hand that way, he can resist it. But then he can't resist that way. Understand what I'm saying? If I say I'm going to push his hand that way and he resists, well then he can't resist this way. For you little people to make a technique work better, a lot of times what I will even do is, you don't even notice it, but I step this way or move this way, so that if he resists a little bit that way, I set up his 2-way muscle action without him even knowing it. Sometimes you don't even know it. I do a technique and I just give a little push that way. If he resists me, then he cannot resist that way for my technique to come in. So that's one thing that tells you. Every man only has a 2-way muscle action. A basic technique, if I'm grabbed, we use that move to strike on the pressure point right inside the arm here, right inside the muscle of the arm is a pressure point. It'll drop it. This is actually a heart-related pressure point. That's the other place you're punching in Pinan 5. In Pinan 5, where you go like that. That kata, you could be striking either arm. If he punched at me with that arm, I punch him in that pressure point. Because that's a hit pressure point right inside the hole of the muscle. The other place that we punch is if he punched with that arm, then I do this, and I would punch him on the hit point that you saw behind the arm that we marked with an X earlier in the film. So these moves in the kata can be against either arm. So basic, this is 2-way action. Basic, I teach my students that if he grabs, you can hit that point to take the arm that way and pull it the other way for an arm break. So this action is an arm breaking action. Now Ed Lake is going to show you an application where he traps the arm and uses it to punch under the ribs. And do it slow for camera. Just walk through it. Punch is coming in. He covers, parries, traps. He should pin this and pull it against the body. And for any reason, the next move in the kata, if this one would not work or would miss, he has the fire or punch ability with that hand right into the nape of the neck area to do damage. Okay, now try it. Blasting that rib. Got it? Good. Okay, bow and sit down. Now I'm going to mark your head. Okay. Right in this area. Right in that area, we have not only a pressure point, but we create a weakness. Create a weakness. He wanted to break down a move like this. We have it in almost all kata. We have it in Japanese kata, Kusanku. Do the move. That hand's raised, this hand's here. At our early level in our particular system, I teach that chopping on the arm or working on the arm. Because if he is punching at me, we attack here. This hand got to catch and twist, and we catch his arm this way, which puts him down. It puts him down. You have an energy flow in your arm that comes down the small bone side of the arm, crosses the hand, and goes back to the large bone side of the arm. All the moves that you do towards you in kata are striking the inside of your opponent's arm towards you. Towards you. You understand that? Not towards your opponent, towards you. I am twisting this hand, and I am cutting this towards me, which will drop, kick his knees. Actually, that knee, stand there. That'll take that knee out from under him. So that's done all simultaneously. But when you do any move in the kata, first of all, some of you people that do taekwondo have a form with this move even. Or this move. Or this move. Whatever. When you have a hand up here, that means you are to raise your opponent's hand. Understand? You don't have to raise it for full effect. The attempt to raise his hand. I am going to take this hand and push it up. You resist. I don't have to be able to raise it to here or here in my kata. I have to attempt to raise it up. You have the Heian katas that go like that. The Pinan katas. You have this. You have that. You have this in Kusanku. You are to raise your opponent's arm and attack him out here on that X. Because if you raise his arm, let's say he grabbed you, and you cannot raise his arm up to there perfect like the kata. That's to show that the attempt was made. If I attempt to raise his hand, don't let me. 110 muscles, a doctor told me, get involved. That actually, you resist. Feel this right here, how tight, Jack? Feel it tighten up? His chain reaction of muscles tighten up and actually pull the muscle off the nerve right there to be attacked. Right here. Everybody see that? You all right?
Yes, sir.
I hope you came for that.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
It's an honor, sir. May I have another?
So what happens is, you are to raise the arm up and attack. To attack someone in the neck with his hands like this might or might not work. You can knock him out, but you really have to know what you're doing. So yes, I can knock him out now. But it makes it easy for women in self-defense to know that if they raise this hand, they attack that side of the neck, not this side, because as they raise here, same person, he can take a shot there decently hard. But if I tap him again over there, he's going out again. When I raise this hand, I weaken you on that side. When I raise that hand, I weaken you on that side. That's why katas have this, or this, or this, and the hand's up there. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Then, just ask your doctor. So again, I'm not going to knock him out again, but if he grabs me, I don't have to be able to get that hand up there. Understand that, ladies? If you're grabbed, you just have to attempt to raise it up and strike over there, and he's going to pass out. And you get right in this groove where the X is. Not on the muscle. You get right in there, and he's going to pass out. Okay, sit down. If you get a headache, you let me know.
Yes, sir.
I have a move in the kata that repeats something here and something here. The question was asked about Kusanku or Kanku, or what. You come up and you come here, and you chop to the left, you chop to the right. When you have a move that repeats, that usually means that that will work on either side of your opponent. That move in that same kata that did this, that I just knocked the man out with, is only done once in the kata. Because his hand is raised, I raise this hand, I can knock him out there. But I got to know that his hand has to be raised, or the attempt to raise it is made, then attack him on that side. In Kusanku, we go here, and we go here. Sideways in a kata means that I have to go sideways to get at my opponent. And that if I did this to my opponent properly, I can go to either side of him to knock him out. For instance, I told you that you don't stand here and block a person pushing or grabbing, and you do not come up in between and try to do this. Because for every action of a man's muscle one way, you have an action the other way. However, you can come up between if you keep him in solid motion. That's what this means. You don't stop in this circle. When people do the kata and go like this and then come down, that's wrong. If he is pushing me and I go like this and stop, I can't get his hands down. But because of two-way action of man, if he is pushing me and I keep him in constant motion, then I can go sideways to knock him out, and I can go to that side to knock him out. It's a defense against someone pushing you. We have several defenses we use when people push us. One of them is the circle, and this means that you are to smack his wrists together, which activate the nerve all the way to the neck. When I did this, I activated a nerve only on that side. If I did this, I activate on that side. If I can smash his wrist together hard enough, it's got to be a decent smack together, but that's why that kata should go like this. It should meet. Some of those katas will even do a fist there. Have you seen those? They'll do a fist. That means I can knock him out on either side. On either side by going that move or that move. We also, for self-defense from a push, just push their hands this way. Just push their hands that way. Trap, strike. That's another meaning for moves like this in a kata. I think Bruce Ude asked that. That's another meaning for that move in a kata. Because a person can be pushing, struck. Pushing, struck. If he pushes here, set him up. him out, cross his legs. All right. All right. Yeah, he goes. God's really sorry. Okay? Okay. Everybody see those eyes, by the way? They're a little glassy. So we're going to do a little energy restoration on him. All the katas actually start. They either begin and with the move that would happen in a real fight situation. This is covered elsewhere in my videos, but even this move. I have a kata, a basai, where the hand joins like this and comes down to here and actually comes out to a cat stance. I also do that in a kata Chinto, where I step. I come from here, and I step to here. And my instructor told me I'm blocking my groin. Honest. And that this is the secret. Yeah, you come here. You're my opponent. You mean you don't know I'm blocking my groin? You see, don't get right in front of the camera. You're hogging my time. But he don't know I'm blocking my groin? And he don't know my knuckles are there? That's what my instructor told me. But wouldn't a fight start with a guy doing this to you? Wouldn't a fight start with a guy putting his finger in your face? Or on your body even? This way, like this? Telling you what he's going to do? Wouldn't a fight start like that? Or a guy even waving the finger telling you what he's going to do? You catch the finger. That's the opening of the kata. To put him right to there. Catch that finger and put him down. You take the finger. Lost the pen. I don't know if we can close in on this enough, but right in this V, in the V, is a pressure point that controls that joint. There is also a pressure point here and one here, not this one. Here and here. Here. There's also one all the way out to here. There's even one out on this joint that controls this little joint. My secretary has little frail hands, and on a big man, she can catch that point and put somebody down. I can't. My hand's too big, too little of an area. But women or smaller hand people can even catch that point and drop somebody. You have a point here and here. You come over here. Come over on this side. Now you just hold that finger. This point, you got to get the energy into your opponent this way. You got to get the energy from the large finger towards the small finger, because the energy in his body comes down and it crosses over this way. This way. A lot of people tell me they know of this pressure point, and that if somebody grabs them, they can go like this and put the person down. Well, that's close. The way to cut is that way. That way puts the person down. Towards his energy, it backs his energy up. If I catch the finger, if I try to bend his finger over backwards, I can't do it. Don't let me bend it. I can't do it. You can with sheer strength, but it's very difficult. If I go right in that valley where I made that dot, right in that valley, and I try to bend his finger over backwards and he doesn't let me, but I go right in that valley, I'm nowhere near the knuckle. That pressure point releases that knuckle. So if he doesn't let me bend it over backwards, that sends him down. That drops him. Just one pressure point, right here. puts the person down. I was hoping Lawrence Stone would be here. We have a guy down in Auburndale, Florida, and he's handicapped. And he came to me years ago and said, people have been taking my money for years, teaching me katas, teaching me karate, and I don't feel I can defend myself. And he started to get in on this, and I was hoping he'd be here because I was going to let him loosen some of these finger pressure points. He drops people with these. Even with his handicap, has an art. He can work against somebody, and he can truly defend himself today. But all you need to do is know that the pressure point's in between there, and down he goes. It's over here. Down he goes. All the way out to here. If you're losing him on this outer knuckle, not on the knuckle itself. We do not use a joint. None of the moves I do are joint techniques. A joint lock, that hurts him. But my techniques take a joint and go this way. This drops him. This does not allow him to hit me with that other hand because I am doing this. That hand will go backwards. That's crossed extensor reflex action. If I catch the finger, I take it this way, so he cannot hit me with that other hand. That's the meaning in moves in kata, where you go like that, and you go to a cat stance to cover or put him there, and use your knee as if it was an anvil. Here, you come here quick. Get your finger out at me. If I catch his finger, and I put him down, I might lose him. But if I let this slip under, it gives me a holding device to break the finger or injury. Everybody understand what a cat stance now? You go to a cat stance in that particular kata. A lot of times you go to a cat stance, you put him right in at that, and you use that to lock him in so he doesn't get away and cannot roll or twist out of the move. I'm going to get you up, you're going to pair up. One side is going to put a finger at the other side. You are going to catch the finger, take the supporting hand, help it get behind the joint. Do not get at the joint. At the joint, he can get out. Behind the joint, he goes down. Everybody's going to pair off and do that. Work on that technique. The energy flowing down the outside of your arm, crossing and going back on the inside of the arm, has to be sent back this direction. If I am getting a punch or a street fighter punching round, that's why your hands come this way with this. This way. People say that this is chambering, and throw that punch, that this is doing nothing but getting power to block. Garbage. You couldn't do this move before the punch and get there by the time the punch came. You understand what I'm saying? But if a person's punching at you, this move is more important than that move. This move. Don't that look familiar? You do this before that. Somebody had asked about the one down here. Down here. No, you come here quick. If you strike on the inside of the arm and can get this point either hit or caught with this, this puts the guy down here, and then this would be the next move. That's why the move goes like this, gang. You're not blocking kicks down there. You're attacking that arm this direction. It puts him down, and you're coming in behind the nape of the neck, and ideally, you would still have the arm on pressure points for the finish, for the pull, for the finish. That is only 2 pressure points, drop his knee. This arm controls that leg. Here, here, here. 3 pressure points. We also use one here. It's on previous videos. We have one in here. We have one 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 here. You mean somewhere in a fight I can't hit one of these dots? I just got to know the corresponding dot to hit. 1 pressure point causes pain. 2 cause pain to meet in the middle or kick his legs out, like you just saw. You can sit down. These 3 make the person pass out. These 3. And then if you did a 4th one that we marked up here, that would be 4, which could kill him and or stop a major organ. And or we can get 2 up there to make it 5. If you really know the pressure points up in that neck region, you can get 2 up there to make it 5. Just this part of the move will drop the person and make him pass out if it's done properly. If I don't hit these 2 properly, he's not going out. But that chop hand goes like this, doesn't it? So just this part of the art is called Kyusho Jitsu. The strike into the neck could kill. So I release, I don't do that part. I catch the arm here. I catch here and here. You want to be right there. Back up. Back up. I want room. It'll get him to fall, then we'll get him. He's going to go down. We get it on these 2 points, and the 3rd point, we should get a blank out. Set him up. Cross his legs, cross his legs. Yep. Sorry. He meant to do it, yet he's sorry. I do not like to do this to people. You know, I understand. I mean, it sounds like fun. And early on in my career, this was fun. But I really don't like to do that to people. In a real fight, I don't mind. But I don't like to go around because sometimes that gets people sick, gets them headaches, it makes them want to throw up, it does weird things to the human body. Early on, I try to get the people now to advertise my seminars and not even put the word knockout in the flyer, because we have scared people off. We have 75 people here today, but we didn't have the word knockout in the flyer because that was scaring people off. Knockout Black belts didn't want to show up because they're afraid I was going to do this to them in front of their students. Or people didn't want to show up because they were sure you were going to get them. You okay? So we dropped the word knockout. Now, naturally, the knockouts still happen at my seminars. It's just, we don't advertise it. We work it as part of the kata, and if that move is a knockout, not all moves in katas are knockouts. Some of them are kills, and you just can't demonstrate that. But you saw what happened on just the arm. That's 3 points. I was perfect, by the way, in that. I'm not saying that about me, but boy, I was right on the 3. I'm glad I marked them. But I was right on the 3. You stayed there well. But just I was on those 3, he went out. That's the finish. So when you see somebody do a kata, and this is done with meaning, you know it has a greater result. That's the finish. This is to kill. Had I hit him here and did this on the way down, that's not blocking kicks down there. You don't block with the small bone side. You don't block with the fingertips. Kyushojitsu is what it's all about. We have a book finish called Kyushojitsu. That's going to stir the public. It's going to stir everybody's feathers. And my videotapes have been stirring people's feathers because we take moves that everyone does and turn them into real self-defense. But then that means your katas mean something. We have white belts and yellow belts and green belts seeing these moves now, going home wanting to learn the next kata. Where before they used to say, must I have to learn another one? Now they can't wait to learn the different moves, because once they know the move, they know we'll tell them what the meaning is. Everybody have a good time?
Yes.
Thank you.